So in 2008, I was 18 years old. I had just finished my freshman year at Boston College. I was home in Rhode Island for the summer and became ill very quickly. In a matter of 1 to 2 weeks, I went from perfect health to needing a liver transplant. I was admitted up to Massachusetts General on a Tuesday, I remember. It was only about a week after I first experienced any symptoms. That following Wednesday, I was moved to the ICU, and the last thing that I can recall is one of the nurses there putting IVs, and it seems like any vein that they could find. By that Friday, I was intubated. I was put on the transplant list, and luckily 2 days later, on Father's Day, I was lucky enough to receive a liver.
I did meet Phil when he came in with fulminant liver failure and needed an emergent transplant, and I was involved with his operation and his immediate postoperative care in the hospital.
Phil's story is an extraordinary story. He was a healthy college student, and within a period of a couple of weeks, he became critically ill and desperately needed a transplant because of liver failure. We were fortunate to get an organ for him in a timely manner, and he's done extremely well post-transplant.
I think the advantage for a patient to be at a center that does both pediatric and adult transplants is that the center has a lot more experience with transplant in general because they're doing hundreds of transplants and taking care of a whole wide breadth of transplant issues. And the other big advantage is the continuity of care. So you get taken care of at the same hospital by the same people from infancy to adulthood.
One of my first meetings with Dr. Markman after the liver transplant, he knew that I had dreams of going to medical school and becoming a doctor, and he mentioned, give me a call next year when you're in between your sophomore and junior years of college. He said, I have a spot in my transplant surgery research lab if you'd like to come do research for the summer. And I took him up on the opportunity.
Transplantation has a tremendously bright future. There are great advances on the immediate horizon that should impact our transplant patients within the next decade. One example is a new way to preserve organs. Instead of putting them on ice after they're removed from the donor, we're going to put them on a machine that pumps oxygen and blood through them to keep them in an optimal condition. I think the most exciting advance that will come in the next decade is the use of organs from animals, specifically pigs. There are new gene editing technologies that allow us to manipulate the pig's genes to make those organs more human, and we think we'll be able to transplant them into patients with less immunosuppression and with perfect function.
I'm currently a dermatology resident. I'm in my first year of dermatology training at Cornell in Manhattan. I feel great now. I'm able to do anything that I like physically.
Transplant has been called by some as a miracle of the 20th century. It's wonderful to be a part of it, but I think what's even more striking is what's coming in the future. Transplant has potential to help many more patients than we're currently helping, and we think the future of transplant is even brighter than this great last 50 years.
It's funny how so much can change from one point in your life. I'm not sure where I would be without Dr. Markman and the MGH team as a whole. The empathy that I experienced from the nurses, the doctors, physical therapists, nutritionists, everybody at Mass General was something that, as I got into medical school, I looked back on and I realized how special it was. It's something that changed the way I look at patients on a day-to-day basis. Everyone at Mass General showed me a real level of caring that I try to put into practice every day.